Good evening, Internet. Welcome back to another edition of this thing that we're doing today. Once again, I am Frank, otherwise known as Nomad, and I am joined by Lindsay from LL Cool Games. Lindsay, it's been a whole week since I've seen you last. How the hell you doing?
We're okay over here. Right. We just dodged whatever rain didn't happen that I hope you're gonna dodge here too. And Mysticles just showed up.
Hey, buddy.
And yeah, it's all back to school prep here right now. So it's
Nice.
crazy, but for a good reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. It's same with the kids here. Sir and Lady Flaw Gaming are here tonight. What is happening? As well as Mysticles, what is happening? But yeah, same over here. You live a ways from me, but you've kind of sent the rain my way. I just checked the
Yeah.
radar, and we're getting like the giant clouds coming our way. So we'll see if I'm still here in the next 35 to 40 minutes. So, but same here. It's been hot. It's been miserable. My kids went back
Yeah.
to school Wednesday. They started them in the middle of last week
Okay.
actually. So they're rolling. They're getting used to the things. My boy, it's his senior year in high school,
Oh my
which is
gosh.
I know I'm excited, but my wife, of course, is definitely happy sad at the same time, and I get it. My
Yeah.
mom was the same way. And then our girl starting in eighth grade. So yeah, it's been busy around these parts.
Yes.
So, but throughout it all, though, we have found time to continue our journey through the indie RPG gem that is Sea of Stars. So, in the off chance this is the first time that you're watching us live or you're checking out this video kind of after the fact, I think this is number 6 or number 7 of these that we've done as we've kind of gone through our journey of this
Wow.
game together. Yeah, we've been on a journey, my friend. And really, to kind of just sum up why we're here, what we've done up to this point is we are kind of holding ourselves accountable, Lindsay and I, to play this game and make sure we complete it. So we're playing it together, and we're meeting here once a week to talk about everything that has happened up to this point in the game. Uh, that does include some things involving the story, but we're also talking things about uh, some of the game mechanics or some of the other
Mhm.
developmental decisions that have gone into the game, and it's invoked a lot of cool discussion, and if nothing else, it kind of gives us fuel to go back. Okay, now that we've talked about it, let's keep pushing this journey
Let's
forward.
go.
So
Yes.
100%. So it's been a blast. So first things first, and I did not think to do this ahead of time. I always forget like one thing before we start these streams. I usually run a ticker at the bottom of the video to kind
Oh
of spell
yeah.
out spoilers. So just to be clear with everybody that's on watching us live or watching us in the future
Later.
somewhere. Yeah. So we are at the point in the story where all I'll say is a certain character has obtained and taken a vial of borrowed time. If you've played the game before and have gotten to this point, you should know what that means. If you don't, we are in heavy spoilers territory with the story now, uh, to a point where I would encourage you to go back and watch our other streams to get yourself caught up with the story. If you're not playing along, you haven't played yet. Things are getting heavy, as it were. So the
Yeah.
moment I put the banner at the bottom of the video, all bets are off, and we are potentially going to talk about some heavy story spoilers for Sea of Stars going forward. We are in the final, I don't know, 80% of the game. I
I
think we're almost.
know. I keep thinking it's like, oh now, and it hasn't. Maybe now. I don't know.
All right, so we'll do this. So that one character takes the vial of borrowed time. Okay, I'm going to add that down at the bottom here, so we are all we've all been warned. We all know what's on the table here. So, um, before we get into kind of where we're at, what we've done the last week since we've talked, Lindsay, we got
Yeah,
some incredible news today from the
we
Nintendo Direct.
did.
Yeah, what you brought it to me. I actually forgot that the Nintendo Direct was actually happening today. So tell us what's going on.
So it must have been in the indie section, right?
I think so.
Because that would be Sea of Stars by definition. They just casually announced that there's gonna be DLC with our 2 main characters and a new character, coming I think they just said spring 2025.
Yes, that's what I remember.
And right, I had been gone for an appointment, and I came home, and my children spoiled it for me. "Mom," and I'm like, "What?" Like, it was all coming at me so fast, and then I finally got to watch the video, and it was like, "Okay, this is exciting." And I do believe the word "free" was involved also, that it's just kind of
Indeed.
an expansion. Yes.
Yeah, I of all the things to be announced today, I was not
Yeah.
expecting Sea of
I
Stars
know.
DLC, let alone free. And
Yeah.
wow. So it's called Sea of Stars Throes of the Watchmaker DLC. And
Whoa.
I know, right? It just sounds so tangible or something.
Intense. Whoa.
Yeah,
Well,
so
so
we
well, hold on. Clock watchmaker?
yep,
We just saw that person.
we did see that person. We
Oh my
we
gosh.
Yeah, I think it was last episode or maybe the one before when you and I got together. We
Mm,
had ventured through the clockwork tower, all the
yes.
gears and things like that, and the watchmaker was up in the tower. They got us what we needed to
Crazy.
progress, but that character didn't really, I don't know,
Do
divulge much about themselves.
anything.
Right.
No.
But
Neat throws, though.
throw
Throws of the Are you serious? It's like throw? That's
I don't know. This
hilarious, right?
yeah, there's and
It
you're
has
right,
to
you're right,
mean
Vindictive.
something.
There's got to be some meaning behind it.
That's hilarious.
Now that we're deep into the story, everything has a secret meaning, but I don't know.
Right?
But we'll see. I don't know. Maybe they
It's
misspelled it on
crazy.
purpose. I know I got kicked out of our spelling bee when I was in third grade because I couldn't spell a 5-letter basic word. So I don't. I'm the
Oh,
wrong person to
man.
ask.
You s I bet you can spell it now.
Of course I can. Maybe.
Right.
But no, the throes of the watchmaker, and you kind of set it up already. We're in this. It's kind of an addition to. It seems like, but what I gathered from that trailer is it's carnival themed, and
Okay.
Zale, our sun guy, our blade dancer, is now a juggler in this universe, like juggling the apples or the balls or what have you. And Valaire is a acrobat, and her fighting stance is like her on her hands, like doing a perpetual handstand in battle. Like
That's crazy.
it looks so weird. And then there's a third character that if they're a part of this story, the main story, I've not seen this thing yet, but it's some sort of a robot, a
Yeah, they said
automaton.
a
Is it
new character, so you didn't miss anything.
okay?
It's legitimately new because I do that too, where it's like, "Did I miss something? I'm missing," right? No, it's
Yeah,
new.
so that's super exciting. I was not expecting that. And when I actually put some of my notes together for this, I saw that, and I don't know if this was announced in the trailer or I missed it while I was screaming in excitement, but they're unveiling a 3-player co-op mode. Have you heard about this?
What? No.
They teased it at some point, and I don't know if it was on Nintendo Direct, but they're developing a 3-player co-op update to the game where up to 3 people can just control your 3 party members inside and outside of battle, like when you're walking around on the field. Like
Somebody goes off. It's like, "No, come on."
yeah, if you think of it, and I encourage anyone watching us to check it out on Google it or whatever. Sea of Stars DLC, the first or second article I found actually had like an 8-second demo where it showed how all these characters, Garl was going this way, Valir was going
What?
that way, and Zale was like, I guess I'll just stay on the path. I guess um,
Yeah.
it sounds really cool. I often wonder if that's something that my kids would get into, like playing an RPG with
Mm.
me like that. But I don't know. Let's see.
Mm.
So so really
Wow.
the main question is, Lindsay, when spring 2025 is coming around, are you grabbing this DLC?
Oh, 1,000 times. Like, we were just discussing, I don't know, as story-driven as this game is, I don't know if I'll replay just to experience the exact same story. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But if you're gonna throw another, like, chapter in here at me, yeah, absolutely, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'm 100% committed, and I think, and whenever our last episode decides to come around, when we've actually finished this game up and we're giving our final thoughts, I'm sure we'll speak to the staying power of the story and stuff like that. But for me, this game really started to make an impact. Not near the end, but like just past like the halfway point when the story moments
Yeah,
started to make more sense, and now there's stakes and all that sort of stuff. So I was a little worried when we first started, but now I'm invested. Like whatever
yeah.
DLC you want to throw at me, if I get to play a random villager in Moon Cradle fishing all day, sign me up. I'm in.
Hey, yeah.
So it's like, yeah, that was some awesome news that we got today. So super excited. The rest of the Nintendo Direct, I think it was fine. Nothing really jumped out at me a ton, but it was still cool to see all the stuff kind of coming around.
There
So
was a lot of stuff, and it's almost one where it's like, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch so that I know what all is coming, so that I'm not like, "Oh, I totally missed that." I feel like there's so much coming out for the Switch that if you're not paying attention, it's gone. Yeah.
right, and for what, a system that is literally on its, I wouldn't say last legs, but this thing's getting replaced sooner than later, and
Right.
there's still games that are coming out for this thing. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
and they're advertising for March, and it's like, "March? I would like to have a new Switch by March, please and thank you." Like, what are we doing?
Right, exactly.
How many hours in are we Mysticles? I am, I think, 27.
I
I
think that's
haven't hit 30 yet.
I think that's where I'm at, but I'm grabbing my Switch right now and finding out.
There you
uh,
go.
I
I
I
think
can't
mine's
remember.
plugged in
I am at
because I
20,
keep
26.
checking. 26. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things are going a lot faster for me now because I'm not stopping what I'm doing to try to grind levels anymore. Gah, still drives me nuts.
What can I tell you? I know. And they don't, yeah, they really didn't, they didn't want you to do that, Frank.
No, not in the
They're like,
slightest.
no, just go. Yeah.
All right. You ready to get into this thing? Recap where we've been and
Absolutely.
where we've gone. All right. So again, this is we're gonna start talking story a little bit here and kind of our experiences up to. So again, you have been warned. If you decide to allow yourself to be spoiled, don't come knocking on our doors. This is
Right.
all on you. Okay, it's not, it should be that.
It's
Anyway.
your poor choices. It's ours too, but it's fine.
All right. So to recap, where we're at this point,
Yeah.
we ended the last stream, and we finally met the main antagonist of this game, the Fleshmancer, shrouded in a dark cloak with some unearthly tentacle thingies coming out from underneath them. It was mildly disturbing. But oh hey, Resi Claire Redfield,
Hey.
welcome. How you doing? So we met the Fleshmancer, but during the story exchange, really the big takeaway here is the Fleshmancer decides to unleash a powerful beam of magic or something at our party, and Garl, the just beacon of hope and shining light that is what he is, decides to jump in front of it and take it and defend the rest of the party, to the point where he is mortally wounded and at death's door. We whisk him away. Zale and Valaire finally discover their Super Saiyan powers, which are the
Yes. It was so
right.
cool. It's like
uh,
I'm struggling with Garl being hurt, but I'm like, oh, whoa, we can fly.
right. It's all the emotion and it's everything that's bottling up, and now all Garl knows is he needs to get back to the Elder Mist, and Zale's like,
Yeah.
yeah, done. I'm just gonna shoot you there. Let's go. So everybody gets towards the Elder Mist and kind of comes together. And Garl realizes that he was told through a prophecy or premonition that when the time comes,
Yeah.
he's to ask for a vial of borrowed time. And he asks Rashawn for this. Rashawn's like, oh yeah, here you go. I have it right here. Just
Wow.
needed you to ask. And he takes this. So now Garl's life more or less has been extended. He is still, from what we're being told, still going to perish, but now his life's been extended with this potion. And it's actually kind of it's so sad. Like from this point on, Garl's actual sprite when he's on
I
screen
know.
like fades in and out every once in a while.
It's
Like
terrible.
it's
Yes.
just a constant reminder that your friend is going to leave you soon.
Yeah.
But um, it was for what it was. It was a very beautiful and touching moment because not only did we really realize as a party and as players how much this guy really means to us. He of course is like, guys, it's okay. We got a mission. I'm here to help you
Let's
out.
go.
Let's right. Let's
Yeah.
go.
He's like, "Let's go."
So so that's where we left off. Now the mission, as I understand it, and please fill in any gaps that I'm forgetting here, is
Okay.
we need to get to the Fleshmancer. We basically need to put our boot up his ass for everything that he's done. Our mentors from the Zenith Academy, Brew Graves and Erlina, have betrayed
Mhm.
us. Brew Graves basically threw up his hand saying, "I want no part of this." Erlina's
Right.
like, "I want to be your right hand person.
Yeah.
I want to work with you." So they left the plane, I guess, quote unquote, and
Yeah.
they're somewhere out of reach. Like, what is this? An alternate dimension or something? What's
Yeah.
your
It's
take?
Superman. They travel through triangles. It's normal. Yeah.
I didn't even get that, but yeah, it definitely they went through the Superman triangle.
Yeah.
So we need to get to them to exact vengeance. Not really vengeance. We'll call it justice, right?
Yeah.
So so now that Garl's mortally wounded, throughout this experience, he realizes what it is that he can do to help us, and that's get us access to the Sea of Stars. And
Right.
that's that classic. Oh, we said the name of the game. Woo.
No. And then we all go, "What's the sea of stars?
Right,
What are
and
we doing?" Yeah.
right, we don't know what it is. Our characters certainly don't know what it is. Carl's kind of got an idea, but he's one track minded. He knows his time's limited, so he's like, we just got to figure out how to do this. So
Yeah. Right. And Rashawn's not telling us. Like the dude is like the knower of everything. And
yes,
he doesn't that's kind of annoying. Like, but it progresses the story like it needs, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine, but I'm sure we've had that experience where it's like we're just trying to get information out of someone, and they're like, "I can't tell you,"
Right.
or
And they're
"I'm
like,
not
"Nope."
telling," or it's like
Right.
extracting information out of a 4-year-old.
That's a good
It's like tell me where you hit it.
yeah.
But so I can't remember how this starts. I think Garl just has this epiphany that this is what we need to do next. But we go to I think it's just called the Cloud Kingdom, which makes me think of
Yeah.
Super Mario RPG for whatever reason,
Mhm.
where Mallow lives. Um, and we have to speak with this High Council and get
Yeah.
them to give us access to the Sea of Stars. What were you thinking about the story up to this point? Like, what are your thoughts about the Cloud Kingdom? Because the people there were a lot larger than I thought they would
It's
be.
so crazy. Well, first, right, you have to go to like again, you have to do the boat and you have to boat to that like little island and then Valere gets to show off, right, and fulfill her prophecy, which I thought was cool, but at the same time, I'm tired of the boat. But it used up another one of those islands, right? These like
Mhm.
weird islands that we don't know what they're for.
Right.
It now we know what that was for. Um, yeah, I was totally not expecting, right, the giant, giant people
I
in the clouds. Yeah,
Yeah, what and it goes without saying still, but the graphics and the visual presentation of this game is just
that was
flat out amazing. And
bananas. Yeah.
I I remember walking through this cloud city and I see these like two sandaled feet, but they're not like flesh colored. They almost look like they were statues. But
Yeah.
then you're walking close to them and you get that little arrow prompt like you can interact with it. And then you do,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden it's talking to you. It's like,
It's like,
where the hell am I?
what? Yeah. Why am I talking to this statue? Yeah. Well, and
So
then the way they do the voices when like the council is talking to you, it's almost like their voices are too big for you to hear too, or they just like "Rah, rah, rah," they like mumble to each other. It's again, yeah, the attention to detail is crazy.
it really is. And the whenever a character talks, there's like a tone that comes across the screen when text is
Mm.
coming across, and it almost sounds. Best way I could describe it is like the Charlie Brown teacher, the wah, 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 wah,
Yeah.
wah, wah, wah. And it always has a tone that's kind of adjacent to the character itself. Like Valaire's is not nearly as harsh sounding as Zale's is.
Mhm.
Um, those little touches, but yeah, when the big guys speak in the Cloud Kingdom, it's just like
And it says like mumble mumble. Like,
right.
okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so we get to this council finally, like you were kind of talking about, and Garl, of course, takes lead, and he goes right up
Yeah.
to these three people. We don't even like see their faces, like we have no idea
Mhm.
from like the waist up what these things even look like.
Yeah.
Um, but there's three of them sitting across from us in these huge chairs, and for just so I'm not explaining everything in this particular moment because I don't remember everything, but basically Garl's like, hey, my friendos back here need access to the Sea of Stars, and I know you guys can do it. So what do we need to do to get you to give us the keys to that? That'd be great. And I actually liked the exchange between the console and Garl. It's almost like the console's like, prove to us why we should do this ridiculous thing for you. And
Yeah.
Garl is reaching into himself and trying to find the right things to say, and it's kind of cool watching him slowly win the console over. And
Yes.
you're like, how is he going to do this?
Yeah, because I don't know. Like, if
Right,
we needed to have that conversation, no idea. Yeah.
right. I would probably say something as generic as the fate of the world hangs in the balance,
Yeah,
and you need to
just
do this
just
thing.
let us. Yeah, that's fine. Because
Right.
Carl's gonna die. And does he use that as part of his argument?
He
I
doesn't
don't
use
think he
he doesn't
did.
No, he doesn't use it, but the console figures it out pretty quick, and they make like
Yeah.
a brief mention of it, like, oh, your time is limited, so what do you need?
Mhm. Yeah,
so but
okay.
So, long story short, Garl convinces the council that we can get access to the Sea of Stars, but we have to do something first. Garl offers up the idea that he can awaken the sleeping dragon. This sleeping dragon that's been asleep for centuries, that has kind of coiled itself around one of the mountains that we find ourselves frequenting very often. And
Yeah.
not only are we going to wake this thing up, apparently this thing is like just mad, agitated, evil. I really couldn't figure that out.
It's grumpy.
Grumpy. Yeah, we'll go
Yeah.
with that. You sleep that long, I'd be a little grumpy too, I suppose.
Yeah.
But so Garl says, not only will I awaken him, I will return him back to the good guys. Basically, I'll bring him back in a great mood.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine. And of course, everybody, ourselves included, is like, how's this gonna work? So Garl comes up with this really off the wall idea to he he's we're gonna wake it up by cooking a huge loaf of fresh baked bread.
Amazing.
Yeah, let that settle in for a
Mhm.
second.
Yeah. That's Carl, though. Like, that's Carl. What else was he gonna do? What else was he gonna suggest? Something, like, amazing and heroic? No.
Right. No, he is the warrior cook, and the way to our heart has been to our through our stomach in some ways. But to do this, to make a huge piece of bread, basically, we're going to, if I remember all the intricacies right, we're basically going to hollow out a volcano. We're going to bring in a bunch
Yes.
of wheat and all sorts of stuff to melt it
Mhm.
down and turn it into dough. We're going to cook it in there using the lava, and then we're going to take the spirit of uh, an air spirit, I think named Zephyr. We're going to
Yep.
use it to float the smell of this bread to the sleeping dragon,
At the
and
dragon.
and somehow it's going to go, oh, fresh baked bread, and just
Hey,
be okay with
for
that.
me, yeah.
Right. So, but even though that in and of itself sounds ridiculous, I, I
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but like even though the idea sounded ridiculous, the way this game has written its characters, I found myself immediately going, you know what, Garl? I don't know what the hell you got in mind, but I got your back. Let's do this thing.
Right. Well, and he, like, laid out a plan. Like, he knew what he was doing, and it was like, "All right, apparently that's what we're doing, so, okay. Yeah,
Yeah, he
let's
he
go."
immediately takes charge. So it's actually an interesting part of the game. For the longest time now, we've had a full party and then some, and
Yes.
our battle party has three characters in it, and we've had maybe four, sometimes all five. But now we all have to split up and we all have a plan. So now, for the first time in a long time, we're fighting with half a party. Basically, we've got to be a little bit more strategic in
It's
battle here
rough.
now. Yeah, I definitely want to get your take as we go here, because I did not have an easy go this go
Yeah.
around. So first stop, we head to, I think it was called the Air Elemental Skyland is where this area was called. But basically,
Yeah.
party number one, Zale and Rashawn go to capture the
Yeah.
air spirit Zephyr. So, oh, and that's another thing. Rashawn, for some reason, just
Right.
decides to split himself into three of
Right.
himself. So,
Because that's normal. Yeah.
right. So this way, all of our characters don't like literally go alone. It's our characters and Rashawn for all the parties.
Right.
So we've got Zale. He's up in the I'll call it Cloud Kingdom number 2, because it looked similar to
Kind of,
me. It
yeah.
had a lot of verticality to it. But uh, what was your thoughts about this part of the game with Zale and that particular area? Anything really stick out to you, or was memorable to you?
Well, I remember that it was like they kind of talked about it and go. Like everybody was gone and it was like, "Oh, we don't get a transition." I don't so we didn't even get to choose like I want to do the water quest first and then the air quest. Like there was nothing. Again, the story is set for us and all you got to do is do what they say to do. Um, which you would think by now I'd be used to that, but yeah, the splitting up was not it's clever and it's a clever way to up the difficulty. I can't think of another game that does it like this. And I like even sat and kind of thought about it.
Yeah, the
So,
I recently played through Final Fantasy IX for the very first time a couple months ago, and I won't spoil the story reason for why this happens, but there's a portion later in the game where your party splits into two parties. You have 8 main characters.
okay.
You've got 4 and 4, but you get to
You can
choose.
kind of, yeah,
Yeah, even though you don't quite know really what you're getting into, you kind of have that ability to kind of choose your party, pick the ones that kind of complement themselves. If you want to send all your
right.
attackers or all your magic users or mix them, whatever, you have that ability. That to me allowed me to use characters that I don't normally use in such a way that made sense. It gave me kind of control over it. I liked that. This
Yeah.
game was just like, you're over here, you're over there.
Hi. Yeah. Hope you've been leveling up the right way because
Right. Oh, and that's
you're
something
going to
else I
need
noticed.
it.
Right. I don't know if you noticed this, but the characters that leave your party, they take their accessories and all the stuff that they have equipped with them.
Yeah.
So I had
Not nice.
I can't remember the name of the accessory, the Eye of Yolanda? Yeah, the Eye
Yeah,
of something.
the you're right. But I know what you're talking about. The scan
Yeah,
mechanic.
it
Yeah.
gives you hit points, weaknesses, all that sort of stuff. I had that on Garl. And of course, he's the one character that he goes off on his own. You don't even control him in battle. He takes my best accessory with him. And
That stinks. Because I've had it on Rashawn, so I didn't
mm,
even think about it that that would be
oh,
gone. Oh man, you were playing on extra hard mode.
pretty much.
Dang.
So it wasn't too bad. I still had an extra abacus, I think is the accessory that at least
Yep.
gives you hit point values.
Mhm.
Better than nothing. But yeah, it wasn't awful, but it was a little disruptive, and it
Yeah.
wasn't my favorite part, really.
Yeah. Well, because the game has been doing a good job on encouraging you to keep leveling people up, keep things kind of even. It even encourages you to rotate people in and out of battle, and then it doesn't. And you're just like, okay. Yeah.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
the cloud area with Zale was fine. Is that's the one with like the where it like it's not even like a tunnel. It's like shaped like a wind tunnel and it would like blow you back and forth.
Yeah,
I got lost a little bit in that one just because the wind tunnel thing is undirectionable, right? You like get in the wind and it like blows you and you're like, oh, I don't know exactly where I'm going. And um, but that one was fine. It was pretty vanilla. I got through that one, no problem.
Yeah, when I was making my notes, there was really nothing that really jumped out at me. I did like some of the puzzles. They were the ones that you had to activate a beam of light, and then with a time limit, you had to adjust the mirrors to push the
Yeah.
light where it needed to go. Like
Mhm.
it's fine. I don't know about you, but I'm getting to a point now where the puzzles for me are just they're there. They're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
challenging. They're just the thing you do.
Mm-mm.
But
No, the
uh,
best ones were in the volcano.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second. But Vindictive, I wanted to kind of shout out their comment really quick. So yeah, there's a dungeon in Final Fantasy IX where only magic works, and then you end up bringing all your physical attackers with you. And if you do something along those lines, you may as well just start your game over or go back to a previous save
Yeah.
or something
Yikes.
along those lines. But
Any excuse to talk to a Koopo. That's all that matters.
I do like those little guys. So so ultimately, we do finally get the wind spirit by upgrading an item that we've had in our inventory for a while, the coral hammer. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if you did this, but I had an epiphany when I got this hammer. Basically, what it does is it breaks open blue crystal. And I remember that there were two instances of blue crystal barricades in the Moorlands, which were way back in the
Way
beginning of
back.
the game. Um,
Mm.
when you get the chance, if you've not done it already, definitely go back and find those. There's at least one rainbow conch shell, and I think an accessory that's pretty awesome to have. So,
Interesting.
so I did do
Go
that.
back and crack the blue crystals. Okay.
Exactly. It's just like, wow, this
Cool.
green landscape looks wonderful. You know what doesn't belong here? These blue shiny crystals.
Ant thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Hmm.
so Zale gets the wind spirit. Part one of the plan is complete. The next portion, this was pretty short and sweet, although it was pretty
Yeah.
difficult. So Sarai, our resident assassin, and Rashawn return to the um, what is it? The Sea of Nightmare, and I think
Yeah, the point. Yeah.
yeah, and we go back to where it was that we defeated. What was it? The captain of the ship, the Vespertine that we
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
and the whole point of this is we're going after this creature. I had to write it down called the Hydra Lion
Yes.
and Garl, for whatever reason, needs a scale off the Hydra Lion. I actually cannot remember why Garl needs this
Oh,
for his contraption.
because the magic, something with the magic dew off of the scale of the, and I'm like, oh, this is a lot of words. Because then they use it to water the wheat that's going to get
Oh,
used to make the bread. See,
that's
all the
right.
elements are coming together. Yes.
Gotcha. All I heard was plot device, so that
Yeah,
works
and it's
too.
just like, yeah, word salad. Okay. Yeah.
So we go after this monster. So it's just Sarai and Rashan. Now this fight was, I don't think it was the most unique or anything out of all the bosses we've faced so far, but this one was hard. Um, Tell us about your experience with this boss, because when we were
Tell us about
offline,
yours. I got my first game over screen doing this stupid fight because
wah,
they
wah.
right. So they modified it just enough, right? Because the sea captain's not there. Obviously, we already defeated him. So it's the big, gorgeous, like sea dragon, seahorse thing, but its little stupid tail is poking over the side. So anytime you do a physical attack, I'm pretty sure on the Hydra Lion, even though it's a seahorse. It just whaps you and it just like flops. It's like, what? And so it hits both characters.
Mhm.
And I was not doing a good job keeping track of my health. And I was like, I gotta be close, right? You do that, and it's like, I gotta be close, just one more, just one more. And he zapped me. And then it does do so you get a cop out at the end. It's just, just go back to your last save. So you just it wasn't like a big thing. The two characters just ran back up the point, and I just went, okay, here we go again. But yeah, I had my first game over.
Well, that's good to know. Well, I take that back. I'm sorry that you died. I'll say that first. But now,
It wouldn't be complete if I hadn't experienced that, right? And it was one where I was mad. So I like put it down like face down and I like left for a minute. Dang
oh
it.
god, I'll
Yeah.
bet.
Because it
But
was sloppy. It was sloppy. There's no reason I did that.
that's what you get for letting your guard down, I guess.
Mhm.
but
I
but
was not prepared.
if nothing else, it served a valuable lesson because now we know what happens when you die. And it sounds like you just
Yes.
go back to a pretty
Yeah.
close checkpoint. Like it's not that big a deal, really.
Yeah. It wasn't.
Nice.
Thank God.
Yeah, that would. I love old video games. With the one thing, I think now that we're playing a lot more
Yeah.
modern games and we're quite frankly spoiled, is when I lose progress and then I have to go back to where I previously manually saved. Oof,
Yes.
it hits me right where I'm old.
I know. It's terrible.
So, but yeah, my experience with the Hydra line was very similar, and it's one of those like it's a basic boss fight, right? You've got your main bad
Yeah.
guy, and then he has a mechanism in place that if you attack him, you get counterattacked. Like common sense would tell you to stop what you're doing, attack the tail, make it go away, return fire on the main thing, right? But
Yeah.
I probably like
I just
you.
wanted it gone.
Right. I was impatient and I was doing decent enough damage. I finally figured out how to time Rashawn's basic attack correctly. So when the one bottle is about to hit, you hit the
Yes.
button again so they both come together. So like
Good job.
figured it out. So I'm like in the zone. I'm like I'm doing decent damage. I don't worry about the damage that I'm taking from the tail. And Rashawn has the group heal ability of his that
Yep.
heals up for a decent amount. But then I get to a point where now I'm out of MP from Rashawn. But instead of attacking the tail to replenish it, like a normal person would, I'm over here wailing on the big bad guy, and I'm just taking tail
Yeah.
smacks to the face. So, but it kind of makes me wonder though, like why were we impatient there? And I have to say, I think I was just frustrated with the fact that our parties split up and things are different, and I don't like change. I think is where I
Yeah.
was at.
Well, it's the first battle that you go into not prepared. I mean, and you kind of even know it's like, oh crap, this is gonna be a toughie because I don't have right. I don't have my lunar shields. I don't have, anybody that's gonna do. I don't really like Sarai's attacks as it is. So it was like, oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. I wanted it done.
Yeah, I remember you saying that the last time we talked. You don't really use Sarai all that much, and I usually don't either.
Mm-mm.
Like, I don't even I don't even know how to spec her out whenever we get a level up. Like on one hand,
I
I'm
know.
like, her attack's pretty high. I'll stick with that. But no, she's pretty like fragile. I'll do defense, and maybe I'll give her more magic for some abilities that I don't really care for, except for the one.
No, no.
Yeah, I like her character. She's okay in battle, but yeah, putting her by herself, and then I have used Rashawn far less than you were using him up to this point. So I already am using two
Oh,
characters that I just don't use.
that's rough. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt very uncomfortable. It's like going like underdressed to a wedding. It was just like this feels weird.
Oh.
But our heroes emerge victorious, whether we game over or not, and
Yes.
and we get the scale. So now part two of our mission is complete. But now the third part, my favorite. I don't know if it's your favorite too.
It totally was of this. Yeah, 1,000 times.
So Valere and Rashawn number 3 go into this volcano that Garl is going to affectionately called Kiln Mountain,
Yes.
Klin. And this is going to be the spot where we're going to bake the bread. And Garl gives Valere one simple mission: clear it out. There's a big enemy in there. You can handle it. Take care of it. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
So I love this volcano.
Yeah.
It visually is probably one of my favorite places that we have been in this entire game.
Mhm.
Like everything about it. The music, it's one of those
Was
things where
wild.
the
Yes.
music was great. Like it was catchy, it was upbeat. It definitely had that I'm on a mission to save the world kind of vibe to
Yeah.
it. And um, we don't give the soundtrack to this game enough praise. I should have wrote it down. I forgot who it was that composed the soundtrack to this game, and he's making new music for the DLC. I read. Um,
Hey.
yes,
Awesome.
so he did a fantastic job with this soundtrack, and
Yeah.
specifically this volcano area. I'm like, I don't want to leave. I
I
want to get
know.
down. But so when it came to the volcano for you, I know we liked it a lot. The visuals and the music were great. Did you find it more less difficult, or did it feel kind of normal to you? Like, what were your overall
Um,
impressions?
it was a little more challenging because there was more, but there were new puzzles, and
Mm,
that's I was just like, "Yep, that's all I want. I want." Right? Because so there were 2 things. So there were the boulder puzzles where you had to, like, roll the boulder down to get it to break through, and there was another boulder one too. Where it had to hit and let the water cool. So, like, they're seriously, they had been, like, saving up to get to do lava stuff. They were like, "This is gonna be so fun. We finally get to do, like, lava mechanics." Um, but my favorite was where so you had to do like the block slide puzzle thing with your air hand thing, but you
yeah.
got to like push them off into the lava and they like slowly sunk down. And then you're like, oh, I get to walk on these. Like it was so much fun. And right, you're getting to a big boss, and I didn't even care. It was
Mm,
just so much fun to push the puzzles and I felt like um it never was like, "I'm lost." Like, I don't know what to do. There were no, like, weird corners or anything where I got hung up. I just kept moving, and it was the total opposite of the stupid torment thing. It was great.
yes, that I loved all of that, and it's disappointing. Like they saved all the good stuff for that one spot,
Yeah.
basically. But it was fun. I don't know about you, but you had the boulder that you could move around with your hand, your wind hand or whatever, and there were a bunch of rocks that you didn't need to hit to progress. But I made sure to hit them all anyway
Smash
because
'em all. Yeah, the little, stalagmites on the ground. Yes, because you
yeah,
never know. You never know. Something might need all of those things crushed. You never know.
right, right. There could be some extra added items or something, but I don't know. Just crushing stuff just made me feel good. But yeah, it was fun. It was engaging. It's interesting. Like we're talking about this out loud now, and I remember what I said a little bit ago, where it's like the puzzles I feel like right now are just kind of cookie cutter, and we're just doing them to do them. These puzzles really weren't
Yeah.
puzzles, really, but they were
Mm,
more fun and more engaging. How?
I know. Yeah, it's so childish, right? Because like, especially for the boulder thing, it was like, "Oh, shoot, this is definitely a channel. Where's the thing I have to push?" Right? Like, it wasn't you're right. It wasn't even a puzzle. It was just like an environmental interaction that we haven't had yet. So it was fun.
Right. I liked it a lot, and the boss fight itself. eh, Boss fight took it down a
Eh,
notch for me a little bit. What were your
yeah.
thoughts on this thing? It was a giant lava volcano toad thing.
Lobster. Yeah, it was bizarre.
Like it
But
like it was
you
interesting
got
character
to
design.
You got to hit the rocks as they flew, and I enjoyed the challenge of, like, trying to time to hit the boulders as it was spewing boulders at you, and then it would, like, barf up, like, lava babies. Yeah, I don't know.
I hated those things because
Yeah.
you I think the game calls them firecrackers is the name of the enemy, and there's just like these little bug looking
Okay.
things.
Mhm.
And you're fighting them all throughout the volcano. And I don't know if you noticed this, but if they take so much damage, they'll do an attack where they burrow in the ground, come up to you,
Yep.
explode, and then they're gone. But I had a battle where I realized you don't get experience points from them if they die
Yep.
in that way.
So obnoxious. Agreed, and it only happened, like, maybe twice that I realized that there were 2 of them, and I wasn't gonna get XP. And
Right.
I mean, it wasn't a lot of XP anyway, but Yeah, because the cool, like, the drilly lobster eyeballed things,
Mm-hmm.
those were way fun, and if you went into battle and those were there, you knew, "Well, I'll just hit these stupid little things, and then they'll go away, and then I
Right.
can just focus on this guy." But, yeah, that was a new Bye, Mysticles. That was definitely
Take it
a
easy, buddy.
new bad guy tactic that we hadn't come across before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's when it feels like we're falling into the quote unquote routine. To its credit, Sea of Stars does a good job of kind of bringing you back. All right, here's something new.
Yeah.
Go tackle this new enemy type, or here's a not complicated puzzle, but you get to do something different. Have fun.
Mhm.
It's good for that. It definitely keeps the pace really well, and I always appreciate that.
Yeah.
So so yeah, I the boss fight was fine. It was just those firecracker enemies that quite frankly made me want to go, I don't know, eat laundry detergent.
Right. It
It
was
was
obnoxious.
right. And it's not to say that it was a bad boss. It wasn't designed poorly or anything like that. It was just that's all.
Yeah. Well, plus you knew in the back of your mind, it's like, once this is done, what's gonna happen? Like,
Right.
once we clear these, 1, 2, 3, like, this is the end of the list, what are we doing? So, yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is we're getting to that point now. So once we secure the volcano, Garl during this time has gone back to the stonemason's outpost, and his job is to try and recruit. I'm gonna butcher this name, Malcolmud. Malcolmud,
Yeah, Malcolmud, I don't know how yeah. Like
little
Malcolm?
little gerbil guy that wears a
Malcolm?
robe, I guess.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk.
We
Nobody likes him.
we encountered him early on in the game, and
Yeah.
we had a quest surrounding him, and we realized Garl basically made nice with him, made friends, and thinks to himself, "Hey, I need to build this kiln in this volcano. Malcolm Mud would be the one to do it the way I need to." So we see a scene of him going back to the stonemason's outpost and recruiting him. And then by the time Valer clears out the volcano, Garl is almost there, and a few other people have kind of gone ahead of him. So things are coming together finally. So everyone finally gets there, and we start to make this kiln. It's all cutscenes at this point. We're not actually doing
Yeah,
anything.
it was a lot of cutscenes. Yeah.
It was, and it was kind of cool, but man, when you're just watching all this happen, it's like on one hand you're excited because this plan has come together. You're really excited to watch Garl put it all in motion. Like he's calling for this, he's telling you to turn the lava on, he's putting it
Mhm.
all together, and like you're so excited to watch this guy's plan come together. But then at the on the other end of it, it's like you know what happens when this is done.
I know.
Like
Yeah, it was kinda rough. Like, I'm like, "Is it coming? Is it coming? Like, now?" It was kinda rough watching
it,
through all that cutscene stuff. Yeah.
it really was because you're expecting him to keel over at any moment because they don't
Yeah,
call it the vial of borrowed time for nothing. And
right.
so we finally get to the point where the bread is just about made, and Garl starts keeling over in excruciating pain. His his time has come, and he knows it, and he's very clear to everyone around him and us as the player, like this is it. But he's going to see this thing through and figure out how to make this bread the way it needs to be, get it into the nostrils of the sleeping dragon, and get this thing awake so that our heroes can cross the Sea of Stars. And I did it again. I get to the point where this scene starts to unravel. I'm sitting on the couch. My wife's over there. She's sleeping this time. But I'm like, no, I got to go in my office because I'm going to start bawling like a baby.
'Cause
And
I just cried quietly.
so wasn't like full on crying or anything, but definitely some tears during the scene.
I
So
know.
Garl gets to a point where he's done, and he knows he is, but we're successful in waking up this dragon, and the dragon flies all the way to where we are and talks with
Yeah.
Garl, and in like one last kind act, this dragon's like, I want you to give me a new name, something that's going to give me hope for the future. And classic Garl is like on his deathbed. He's like, all right, I got to ask you a bunch of questions. What are your ambitions? What do you like in life?
Right? He like plays like 20 questions with him to make up a name for a sleeping dragon. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was going to call him Sinclair because he was
Which
thinking
I
like,
was totally on board. Yes, Sinclair, that's a cool name. Yeah.
but then he decides to call him Wentworth. And I like Sinclair, but Wentworth sounds cool to me. I don't know.
It does. It's a dragon name. That's fine.
It reminded me of a beta fish I used to have when I was younger. I named it Dr. Wellington Fish Esquire. So
Wow. That says a lot about you, doesn't it?
indeed it does. So there's your fun random Frank fact for the evening.
Excellent.
So
Aw.
yeah, so it was cool. It was an awesome scene. So Wentworth the dragon, we more or less end the scene with Wentworth saying, "Hey, you've done all this for me." And he's pretty aware that Garl's not going to last much
Yeah.
longer, and he asks like, "What can I do for you? What's something that I can do for you?" And Garl, classic Garl, decides that he wants to spend his last moments flying on the back of this dragon with his
Yeah.
friends. So
So cool.
we're taken to a scene where Garl and the crew is flying back towards Moon Cradle, and then of course Garl drops this number. Let's go back to Moon Cradle because I want to be
Yeah.
buried under the such and such tree. It's like,
It's like, what? Well, and it's so moving too because we had just in the last batch of cutscenes, right? We had where we got to see the delivery of our two main characters, and then he wants to go back and be buried there, and it's just like, I can't do this.
it was
Yeah.
it was very heartbreaking, but I I think half the reason I kind of like talking about this, as heart-wrenching as it is while this isn't like the reason Sea of Stars is an amazing game, it's definitely one of the higher points. It it kind of brings together a lot of little elements that I've seen sprinkled all throughout this game, and they kind of come together in this moment. And
Yeah.
hopefully what I'm going to regurgitate here makes sense. So finally Garl passes, and the next scenes are of basically his funeral.
Mhm.
He's buried, they have a ceremony, but the way that they do this will
Yeah.
always stick with me because they don't just have the sprites in real time and dialogue and moving around or anything like that. They use really well done up still images, kind of like comic book panel here and there.
I
And
have one in the screenshots if you want to put the one up. 'Cause I
okay.
loved it. As a graphic novel fan, as a comic book fan, oh my god, were they catering to me.
Oh, nice.
It's the second one from the bottom.
Second from the
And
okay.
it was just, like, these gorgeous stills that would come in, and they knew exactly what they were doing, man. It was the
Oh,
best.
I took a screenshot of this one too. So if nothing else, I could use this as a perfect example. So this is a perfect screenshot. The image on the left of Zale's shoulder opens up to the image on the very far right with you realizing that Zale has it's Valaire's hand on his shoulder, and then they both come in with this center photo to embrace each other. There's there's no spoken dialogue throughout
Yep.
most of these interactions, and when it comes to like video games, movies, and any sort of media like that, what you can get across to the viewer or the player in the absence of the spoken word can be so powerful. And
Yeah.
this game nailed it. Like a lot of these images are just you see images of everyone coping how they're coping. At first, Valaire's angry. She punches a tree.
Yeah.
Zale is just defeated, and they spend time apart. And now in this scene that you captured in the background here, they finally come together. I think it's after a couple weeks, and they realize that
Yeah.
they're still broken, but now it's time to finally move on. And
Yes. It was
wonderful.
terrible. I Just like,
wonderful and
and it
terrible.
wasn't like messy crying, but there was definitely like, oh my gosh. And then it just gets worse, right? Because then the next one is them like talking to each other and acknowledging each other's loss. I'm gonna cry talking about it because they have such a strong relationship together, right? They know how each other are feeling, but we have this other thing we gotta go do.
Right.
Yeah, it's
It
crazy good.
it was very good, and I don't want to spoil any other like deaths in other video games or anything like that, but I almost think that other games, if they choose to go down the route of killing off a character, whether it's a party member or somebody that's supposed to mean something to the characters or us as the player, they can take notes from Sea of Stars and Sabotage Studios and how they wrote this out, because this is how you make death impactful, motivating, and just downright touching. Like, I don't know what else to say
Yep.
about it.
Nope.
So, cheers to you, Garl. I have a
Right.
feeling. I've got a feeling, though. This isn't.
Uh-oh. Don't say it.
I
He's
don't.
not coming back.
It's it's kind of it just made me think. I don't know if I think it's I think it's Endgame, Avengers Endgame, where Hawkeye turns around and he's just like all like he's in the rain and he's like, "Don't give me hope. Don't give
Yeah,
me hope."
exactly. Don't do it. Don't give
I
yourself hope.
I I want to give myself hope. I really do,
I know. I
but
know.
we'll see. Another thing too that makes death so meaningful is the totality of it, the permanence behind it. So to me,
Yep.
if Garl comes back somehow, it
Mhm.
would have to make sense, and it would have to be in such a way that it's not like, psych, looks like I just went to another
Yeah,
dimension to go
don't
fishing.
do that. Mm-mm.
Right.
That would tick me off.
Yeah, it's got to be meaningful. So, but beyond that, yeah, it hit home. So I think now we are both at this point in the story where
Yes.
we now have. Well, have you gone back to the council yet to tell them what has happened?
Yes, I've done everything, and I even went back and did, like, some revisit. I went back to Mirth,
Mm,
and I built everything. So
nice.
I have, what did we build? I built an inn, I built a store, and then you build the fisherman's
Fisher,
shack,
yeah,
which that's the coolest thing. Like, talk about leveling up on a fishing mini game. That's the
right.
craziest. Yeah, who thought of that? High
Yeah,
five.
yeah. Not
Yep.
only do you get this awesome building in your little hometown, every time you come back to it, there's just fish lying around that you collect. Which, if you've not
Yep.
been following along at home, I love to fish for the simple fact that I like to resell it.
Right.
So there's that. But then no, the relic upgrades that you get makes your line more
Yeah.
stronger and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's finally you get to see the fruits of your labor.
Mhm. Yeah, that was really cool. I'm glad I took the time because, right, half of me wanted to just like, no, just go. And it was like, no. Well, plus I got the office key. I hadn't gone back to the elder's office at the Zenith school. So I was like, shoot, I
Oh
guarantee
yeah.
there's a reason I want to, and I totally is a reason you want to. Um,
All,
so I was glad
all
that
I'll
I
say,
took the time.
yeah. Did you finally go get it? That accessory?
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
So I'm
Yeah,
all set. Let's go.
that's the one that lets you use Lunar Shield for a couple less MP, I think.
Yeah.
A okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, yep. So we're at the same spot now. So the council has given us access to the Sea of Stars, and we still don't
Mhm.
really know what the hell it is. Um,
Mm-mm.
but one last thing, and we're getting close to how long
Oh
we were going to
gosh,
stream
yeah.
tonight. But one last thing that I thought was kind of interesting is before the console gives us access to the Sea of Stars, we have to like register with them. And
Yeah.
all of our characters had to go up and state their name and their title or occupation or whatever.
Mhm.
And I thought it was interesting that, and of course I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but I thought it was interesting that based on some of the back and forth dialogue with the console, it seems like there's some of our party that have already been to the Sea of Stars or elsewhere.
Mhm. Yeah. 'Cause
Um,
Rashawn steps forward and they go, "Yeah, next."
yeah,
They didn't even they're like, "Uh-huh, yeah. We
right.
know you."
I think it was Hortense who's the ghost pirate that we freed.
Yeah.
They said, "Oh, we have you on file from another visit." It's
I know.
like okay, what's that mean?
What? Good thing
And
I've got this person because I don't know where I'm going. Yes.
right, and what I also thought was interesting, and I have a feeling we're going to learn a little bit more about Sarai as we go forward.
Yeah.
Sarai, I believe, makes it a point to say, "I want to go as Captain Cliche, her
Mhm.
pirate captain alter ego or whatever." And I'm thinking to
Yes.
myself, why does that matter? So,
'Cause we're going in a boat.
well, okay, yeah, we're going in a boat. I probably want to be a captain
That's
too, but
that's all I was like, "Oh, we're going in the boat." Like, when she said that and when they talk right, and then they, like, show you, and it was like, "We're going in the boat. Okay, let's go." Yeah.
I could see that, but maybe I'm thinking too far into things. But part of me was kind of like,
Ooh,
why does that matter? But I
right.
also, and I'm so glad I was wrong here. I also had the crazy idea that Garl was going to backstab us like 4 episodes ago too, because I'm a cynical old man now, and I just expect it out of good characters. So who knows?
The anime the anime fan in you is like, "Now I know something's gonna happen.
Right,
There's
exactly.
no
Like
way this is gonna turn out." Yes. That's
right.
hilarious.
Obviously,
No.
Garl sacrificed his eyeball to protect us, but I think maybe somewhere along the lines we accidentally killed the one fish that he really, really liked 14 years ago, and he's not let go of the grudge. I don't
No.
know.
He's actually a genuinely wonderful person, and I really appreciate that there hasn't been that sway. There's the people are very predictable. I mean, the closest you get is kind of the elder, right? How he's like, "No, rah, rah, rah," but then
Yeah.
he's the elder of the village, so doesn't really count.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So, but we're finally at what it seems to be the home stretch,
yeah,
and we've been keeping track of our notes on a shared document. And what I did was mostly for those listening or at home, I created a table that at any time you save the game gives you like a headline that kind of
yeah.
encapsulates where you're at right now. Something quick like the save point that we're at right now is across the Sea of Stars.
Across it.
I bring that up to say there is 8 more of those save points left out of the
Okay,
40 something that we have here.
dang,
So it's home stretch time. So
I get it.
basic, basically, I see one of two things happening. Uh, Next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to get together for potentially the last time, unless we decide to extend the discussion out. But we seem to be in the end game here. We're off to face our
Yeah.
villain, and that's that. We may have another episode after that too, because there's one more thing I want to bring up, and we kind of talked about this off air a little bit too. I I looked at a walkthrough, not in depth, but I was specifically looking for that classic point of no return. I There's still some things that I wanted to do, and I haven't been back to Mirth in a hot minute, and I still want
Yeah.
to build some of the stuff that I have. So like part of me is like, am I going to get to a point where I'm going to miss all that? There is a pretty clear point of no return, but we've got a little ways to get there, and it's very obvious when we're
Ooh, okay.
there. All I'll say, and I won't spoil anything for you, we're going to gain access to another mode of transportation on the overworld map. Once we get that,
You get a ship.
once we get
Yes.
that, that's your signal to mop up. Because once we move
Okay.
forward after that, it's game time.
Okay.
So, but
I'll have to think about what it is I wanna go back and do other than the quiz guy. I
gotta
haven't
find the
found the
quiz
quiz
guy.
guy. Gotta go
But
find the quiz guy.
so, but then the other thing that I noticed, and this of course is like me, like you ever try to like not look at your presents for Christmas? Of course, I look a little farther, and I shouldn't have, but
Yeah.
there is this notion that I saw in this walkthrough that there is a quote unquote true ending to this game. And I did not look at the
Mm,
parameters as to what that means. I don't want to spoil it for myself, but
yeah,
that kind of spurned a little bit of a debate that we had off air. Like, do you kind of want to spoil it for yourself? Because we've put
I know.
almost 30 hours into this game. And
We're gonna get the not true ending, right? Like,
right. Like
that that rubs me the wrong way.
yeah, and that's certainly a more in-depth debate for another time, and I would love to debate it out. But part of me is like, I love games that have multiple endings,
Yeah,
um, dependent on your actions or the things you find or whatever. Like that's fine, but to know that there is a bad and a good or true ending, and
I
you may
know.
potentially miss the true ending, like a story like Sea of Stars, if it ends in a way that is not true and complete, I am
Yeah,
throwing my physical copy out the window.
I know. Why would
Uh,
you do that?
like,
That's
like,
miserable.
right. So, okay, I wouldn't throw my copy out
Yeah.
the window. I love that thing, but uh,
It's go
so what?
yeah, because right, I don't know, because the game is so story focused, like Vindictive is saying, right? Like, maybe once all the story has left my head, maybe I'll go back and
Yeah,
play it again, but right, I don't wanna have to turn around and know that I have to do a couple more things or turn in a couple more conch shells, and then I'd get it, like, that seems
yeah,
dirty.
it's interesting. Vindictive's got an interesting way about it. They don't bother with the alternate endings usually. Figured you'd go back and do it in a nostalgic playthrough 10 years from now. Now,
Right.
I respect that. Like it's not even the same game, but my mind was going to like Silent Hill 2. I played the crap out of that game when I was younger, and there's like 5 different endings, and I would play one, get one ending, look up the conditions for another, play it like a year or two later, make it fresh again, get the different ending. Like that's cool. I don't know if I could wait 10 years to go back and play this again if
Yeah.
I don't get the right ending.
Right? It's like, "Dang it." Go back and because that's a thing, like, again, because it's so story driven, it's not like we've got a bunch of wiggle room, bleh, like we're out doing crazy stuff or making the wrong choices, like, how
Right.
is there a true ending and a is it a truer ending, like a good ending and a great ending? Like, that's not how people do things. So,
Right, exactly. So, but either way, we'll see. Because as once we get off here and we
yeah,
spend the next week before we meet up again, um, we may end up finishing this thing, and we'll have to see where we're
yeah,
at when we come together next Tuesday, or maybe we'll get to that point of no return and then have one more talk after this. But either way, I do know we're definitely going to end with probably our final thoughts. I'd love to rank this game or give it a rating at the end of the day, because you and I have
mhm,
we've talked for multiple hours. I think we both like this
yeah.
game, but it's not perfect. It's a
It's
little rough.
not.
It's a little rough around the edges here and there, but either way, we're getting to that point. So, uh, to kind of wrap us up here, I will say for those of you watching with us or those watching in the future, we're going to continue, Lindsay and I, to get together every Tuesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern time to continue our journey through Sea of Stars. So if you want to partake, or if you want to play along with us, well, you're going to have to really catch
Yeah,
your breath up
hurry
and
up,
read.
man.
You can certainly hang out with us in that regard. Um, my name is Nomad. I go by that on my podcast and my YouTube channel. So if you want to follow myself, you'll get updates on what's going on with the live stream. Same with Lindsay over at LL Cool Games. If you want to subscribe to her on YouTube, or better yet, follow her on Facebook. Have you hit 100 followers yet?
Yes. I have not. I'm in the 80s. It'll
Ooh,
happen, but
we're getting
yeah.
there. Want to try to get Lindsay to 100 followers, because not only is it a cool number to get to, it
There
will
you go.
allow her to stream on that platform, because Facebook
Yes.
doesn't think you're allowed to
It's weird.
stream to less than 100.
100. Yeah.
Right. So definitely follow us on those platforms if you want to follow along on our journey. Um, my big thing really is I have a podcast called The Retro Wildlands. If you're interested in hearing me talk about old retro video games that I missed out on while I was younger, I play through them with you. I do that by including sound and music about the games. So it's kind of like we're playing the game together. So it gives you a chance to learn about a new retro game or relive a retro game that you used to play when you were a kid. And I have some YouTube videos up on my channel where I pretend I know what I'm doing when it comes to leaving some game reviews. So check me out. Lindsay, where can everyone find you?
I am LL Cool Games on Facebook. Please follow me. I am Lindsay LL Cool Games on both YouTube, and I am newly on Instagram and still trying to figure out what in the world I'm doing there, but whatever. It's all fun, right?
It's all part of the journey, just trying to figure all this stuff out. But it's been fun. If nothing else, we've interacted with some awesome people over the time that we've been doing this. So a huge shout out to anybody that's joined the chat with us today. Vindictive, Mysticles, Claire Redfield dropped by for a little bit. Sir and Lady Flaw Gaming were here for a bit. Thank you all. If I forgot to mention you, I don't know, throw something at me. But seriously, it was awesome that you were all here tonight. So anything else I'm missing, Lindsay, before we call it?
It's your birthday this week.
Oh my god, it is.
It's your birthday.
That's
a big deal.
I guess. I am
See?
I am turning the big 4-0, and my body feels every bit of it.
See, happy birthday. It's
Nice.
a big deal. It doesn't matter how many times you've done it. It's a big deal every time.
Nope, I'm grumpy old man about it. And get your smileys and your happy birthdays out of the chat. What are you guys doing? I just leave me alone and let me sit in my rocking chair.
I'll cry on my video game.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate that. But yep, coming up, I'll be 40. I don't really know what's gonna happen. Like really, literally, I am to the point where it's just another day for me. That's a guy thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. But I also can guarantee, and if my wife is watching the stream right now, you're planning something. I know it.
It's awesome.
So
dun dun dun.
So I'll report back next week with how that all went.
Excellent. Yeah, because we have a holiday weekend coming up. We'll be traveling, so I'm hoping I get some game time.
Nice. Yep, I got the day off, and then I took the day after off, so I've got an extra day off for an extended weekend. So yeah, I will be doing some catch up big time. I am almost done with my latest podcast episode. I'm talking about Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link on the NES.
Having a great time with it too. Wow. Good for you for sticking with it.
It is the most polarizing game that I've ever played. Not to drone on any longer, really, and give away the show, but there's people that I've talked to that love this game. There's people I've talked to that absolutely hate this game.
Like, and why would you do that? Yes.
Right. And there's very little in between. So it's like, it's interesting playing this game for the very first time and finally giving my thoughts on where I land. Do I like it? Do I hate it? Am I somewhere in the middle? Do I regret my life choices? It's been a ride.
Awesome.
So, all right. With that, Lindsay, thanks for joining me again, as always. And we will see you all in the next one. Have a good night, y'all.
Thanks.